So for everyone, I think most everybody knows that a miracle is basically, someone who has done a miracle is someone who has done something extraordinary, out of the world, amazing, hard to believe, and magical.
So in our language, a person who is able to create something like relieving pain and suffering for somebody would be a miracle worker. Somebody who would help you to recover from illness would be a miracle worker. Somebody who can give who can give solutions to problem can be a miracle worker.
Patch up relationships, make your children stars, put a smile.
So basically, who can create hope in any hopeless situation is what we would call as a miracle worker.
Nice. I'm glad you cleared that up for us because I was very tempted to ask you, miracle worker, well, I'm going to touch water and it'll become wine. Is that what's going to happen? So, okay. Miracles, people, situations, things that alleviate something magically almost, right? So,
Yeah.
Be a miracle worker with the B&C method. So, the interconnection here is what?
So what we want to say is like a miracle worker, when you actually become a miracle worker and start doing the B&C miracle work, there are different areas actually which you can tap into or do miracles. And the first one that we would like to kind of introduce is health is wealth. Without health, we aren't able to do many things, right? So our health is just that, we need it. So with the B&C miracle method, you can work on illnesses, diseases, chronic issues, big labels, things that have been given up by doctors, people in palliative care. You can create, miraculous recoveries using this method.
And to understand further, we would like to talk about a case study.
Absolutely, please do. And I think this is something that you've been through yourself, right, Brenda?
Yes, this is exactly, yeah. So I wanted to talk about actually the case study I want to talk about is actually a bone spur. In August last year, actually, I was doing yoga and I actually probably bent too much and I landed up hurting my back. So when I went to the doctor, they started doing physio with me, and after about 10 physio sessions, the next thing that happened was when I got out of bed, I just couldn't get out. I was in so much pain. Then I went and I said, because my body is a little crooked because I have an L4 and L5 imbalance. And so I said, okay, they're rightening my back and maybe that's happening. So I just left it. I didn't do my B&C session. I didn't do anything. I said, it will start happening. A month later, I didn't do anything. And then suddenly I was, I was in so much pain. And I then started, looking at what could happen to me. So we have a presentation. We
I'm
can
just bringing
look
that up. Just
yeah,
bringing that up.
we can talk about it in this.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So what is
Go
the
ahead.
bone spur? I actually just know that from the Google terms, it's a bony growth. I had excruciating pain. Medically, he told me it cannot be cured, only surgery could be done.
So in such cases, the first thing that we do is we address the issue and we create what we call as a roadmap. So roadmap is nothing special. It's a planning which we do. So it's a step-by-step guide to reverse any issue that we are working on. And the simplest way nowadays to know about any issue is Google. So we are not doctors, but when it comes to health cases, we like to, spend some time in understanding the situation over Google.
I honestly got to say, Neelu, I always
Yes.
think when I go into Google, I think past life I must have been a doctor because the amount of the information that you get now, and we use B&C Miracle Method to actually clear everything. It's like us doing a surgery on pendulum charts and paper. I always think I must have been a doctor for sure.
Absolutely. I do have a question here, but I'm going to wait for you to complete this, and I'm going to come back to the roadmap after that.
Sure. So a roadmap would generally look like something like this. We would clear the heel spur, we would clear the pain, we would dissolve the bony spur. And yes, we can also energetically grow a fat pad around the spur. So when I had this pain, Charu just kind of said, Brenda, why don't you just grow it's it's a bony sort of a external extension. So why don't you just put a fat pad around it? And that's exactly what I did.
Right. So, and all this, clear the heel spur, clear pain, dissolve the bony spur, energetic grow a fat pad over the spur. Were these things that you actually searched for, or is the fact that you were going through it and you took this out of that? That this is what I'm
Yes.
going through. I don't need to
Yes.
know technically what's happening. This is what I need to do. Clear it, clean it, remove the pain and dissolve it, as you said. Otherwise, doctors, as they say, it's not possible apart from surgery. Okay.
That's correct. Whatever I experience, I work on.
You put that down, right?
Yes.
So the second step is always clearing the emotions. So these are the emotions that were stuck in Brinda's foot. So she cleared hate, wounded, unforgiveness, grief, blame. And as soon as these emotions were removed from her foot, the blood circulation in that foot improved. So that showed a good recovery in her foot.
Right. And I can see an emotion chart on the side, but again, I will wait because I know there's more coming here. Yeah.
So in B&C Miracle Method, we're actually sharing our tools. These are the tools that we use. It's a specially curated chart that we have designed through all our studies and research, and our very beautiful pendulums, which are also handmade in a village in India.
So as you can see these tools, B&C Miracle Method does not involve any meditative states. So it can be done anywhere, like, in a coffee shop, in a noisy room. If you have a small apartment, you can still do our technique because it's not involving any meditative states, which means you do not require any special skills. Also, you need not be intuitive or any clairvoyance is required for our method. With the help of this pendulum and the chart, as you can see on the screen as well, we are asking only 3 questions. The method is so simple, only 3 questions. And with the help of these 3 questions and the pendulum and the chart, you are able to connect to the client's energy field, and not only connect, create healing as well. So the method that is why we call it as a technique. 3 questions will help you with a set of chart and pendulum will help you to tap into any person's energy field and create healing.
So after doing my first session, the pain became much lesser. It didn't really go, but it was so much less. I then had to do another session to address it because it was still worrying me. So 2 weeks later, I did another session, and lo and behold, the pain disappeared. Within a month, I was walking, no pain. And really, Neelu, when I used to get, especially it is in the morning, you'd get up and I would crawl out of bed, hold the wall and walk, and then only, could walk like 5 minutes later. So it was a lot of pain. And now I just walk anywhere and I'm like, oh my God, thank God I, got out of this situation.
Right, lovely. And again, as I said, I have questions about the chart and the pendulum, but this is, of course, with you. Your students also who learn it have their own stories, right? You want to tell us about this one?
Yes. So this is a testimonial from our student, and our students also follow the same steps. They make a roadmap, they find the emotions, and once they do what we teach, this is their result. So this student of ours, she was diagnosed with what we call as plantar fasciitis, and doctors told her that it's not curable as well, and she had to deal with it with some painkillers and all. She used B&C Miracle Method, and she worked on this issue, and it got fully resolved. And she's told us from wearing ortho slippers, she's back to heels now.
So what
That
we
is
want to say
amazing.
is the B&C Miracle Method is result oriented. If we can do it,
So
can you?
Right. Fantastic. And I think the two big parts that came out here that stood out is Brenda, your pain gone and you're walking without pain. And for BP, it was no ortho shoes and is wearing heels again. You know, woman to woman, let me tell you something. When you can't wear heels for some reason, it is very upsetting. You know, if you like wearing heels and you're not allowed to wear them anymore, it is very upsetting. So, you know, something as simple as that, because of this, was taken care of, and that is amazing. That is amazing. You mentioned charts. So here there were two charts, pendulum, 3 questions. So is the 3 questions something that we get to know about, or is that part of the training?
That's when we teach.
That's part of the training. All right. Okay. Fantastic. So, and I'm just checking in case anybody has any questions at this point. No, they don't, because this is so simple to understand. And I'm just going to repeat. Samina, hi. All questions on the Telegram group. And if you haven't yet joined the group, link to join is in the Zoom chat. I just want to reiterate here, Brenda and Charu, that literally with charts and pendulum, you've done this. Right? Yes. You like going into Google to search, so you do, Brenda, and you do tell your students also to do that, right? But even if you don't go into research to search anything, you can still do this, correct?
That's correct, and we'll be sharing how you can do that as well.